What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here, and this is the PlayStation Portal, a very strange new device just released by Sony that, to be honest, I'm very confused about. This is essentially a $200 controller that allows you to play your PS5 games literally anywhere. But as good as that sounds, as magical as that may seem, this does have some issues. Let's talk about that. Hi, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Now, I'm going to be very brutal in this because I am a person that actually enjoys PlayStation 5 a lot. And also, I have a lot of experience with remote play. Now, in case you don't know that term, in the last couple console generations, Sony has experimented with a way of streaming the video of their consoles onto a tinier screen. With the PlayStation Portable and with the PlayStation Vita, you were able to stream PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4 games onto a tiny handheld device. But this is also much different than that, because the PlayStation Portable doesn't really have anything else to it. There are no games that just install on this. It doesn't have the ability to stream Netflix or anything like that. This is purely for playing your existing PlayStation 5 games on the PlayStation console you already own onto this screen. It doesn't serve any other purpose, which sounds incredibly niche, because it is. So you're probably asking, okay, so who is this for? In my opinion, this does actually have a good amount of use for people that live in a big household. If you have a bunch of roommates like I do, or if you're like a soccer dad who's got like 5 kids that are constantly watching Coco Melon on the big screen, this is an exceptional device for being able to play games perhaps when the TV is occupied, but you still want to be able to grind out some trophies or finish some collectibles. Now, let's talk about the technical specifications of it. As you can tell just by looking at it, this is a pretty big screen with 2 halves of a PlayStation 5 controller on it, and it has a pretty decent battery life. This has about an 8 to 10 hour battery life, depending on how loud you're keeping the music, how bright you have the screen, and the way it's able to have such a flat surface and such a good battery life is because this is pretty much just a tiny wireless router. You connect this via the internet that's the same Wi-Fi as your current console, so it can talk to the PlayStation 5 and communicate the streamed video and your current controls back and forth. For the most part, this works exceptionally well. It does seem like it's able to connect and communicate in such a rapid-fire fashion that even while downstairs or messing around in the kitchen and stuff, it was able to talk and to play with a pretty lagless experience. There's definitely some bit of a delay, but it's overall not too noticeable. I decided to test it with the rhythm game Theater Rhythm. It's like this new Final Fantasy music game that I'm incredibly addicted to. You can see that I've platinumed it pretty much. I've done every single track, every single course. And when I was trying to play it, I couldn't even finish a single level because of that delay. So this is the kind of thing where if you're trying to play Call of Duty or play like a fighting game like Street Fighter 6, it can't play that. This is not really that. Because of that delay, even though it isn't super substantial, it's noticeable enough that I wouldn't call it a seamless experience. Now, also keep in mind, I have literally the fastest internet in Texas. I pay for 2 gig fiber internet. This is so blisteringly quick. I can download stuff in seconds. I upload a video on average in literally 2 seconds. So if my internet is not able to communicate fast enough, that's definitely just an issue of the connection itself inside of this. Now, the screen is 1080p and is set up for 60 FPS. A lot of these games are made to run at 4K, but I mean, a 4K image clearly would not even be transmittable at any decent amount. Now, while I've been playing this, there hasn't been any like visual glitches. I haven't had that degradation. Sometimes if you're streaming a game, you'll notice that something starts to slow down or look sloppy or muddy. So far, everything has been incredibly good, except for one giant flaw. I keep having it disconnect constantly. Like I would say literally so far, every time I've played it, it has dropped connection for at least a couple seconds. And every time it's surprised me because it just seems to be out of nowhere. Now, to be honest, the number one reason I bought this is to play it on the treadmill. Normally in the afternoons, I like to burn some extra calories as I level up and grind in video games and stuff. And it's always been a bit of a pain to drag it in front of a TV, set things up and play. It's cool that I can now just play it on my treadmill as a handheld, but literally, even while trying to film me testing that out, oh my gosh, it still disconnects. It disconnects pretty consistently. I'd say every 20 or 30 minutes it drops connection for a second. Now, you can instantly reconnect, but if you're playing a game like Elden Ring or some big epic, grandiose, cool open world experience, it sucks that it just keeps dropping connection even when you're right next to the router. I mean, right there, I'm in a house that has good internet, that doesn't have 8 billion connections to it, and it still keeps dropping. Truly, I have no idea what causes this. And to me, this feels like a glaring flaw somewhere in the software, or maybe inside of this thing, the actual wireless card just sucks because they're trying to make sure they don't get something that drains too much battery. That to me does blow. I mean, I'm playing this to try and, just zen out while playing something else, or if I'm watching like Samurai Champloo or Cowboy Bebop, like if I'm having an anime day with my friends and we're rewatching a show that I don't need to pay super close attention to, I would like to be able to play a retro game like Final Fantasy VII or something on this tiny screen. So it sucks when it just keeps saying, do you want to reconnect? Now, it's interesting, you can sync up multiple PlayStation 5s. I do have two PS5s because I'm a freak, and that's what freaks do. And it is able to register both, so I could technically install a bunch of games on one console and a bunch of games on the other console and just flip-flop however I want. That's neat. But here's the other weird drawback. This does not have any sort of Bluetooth connection, which means even if you buy a good Sony headset, you can't wirelessly connect any headphones. You can't even connect PlayStation headphones, I believe, even those are Bluetooth. So it's just weird that even another Sony product can't talk to this. Now, I have noticed some people talking about the fact that they do not like that the sticks are smaller. This console itself, as you can see, is made to be ever so slightly more ergonomic. In your hands, the grip's the same size, the trigger's the same size. I think the shoulder buttons and stuff, I like my Steam Deck, but I have always had a grand fondness for how good the shoulders feel on the PlayStation 5 controller. They did definitely drastically shrink the joysticks and they moved them up ever so slightly. I kind of like that. I don't know. I don't think I'd make these my primary way to play, but it's one of those things where since I am going for just more casual games, stuff I'm not paying the most attention to, I don't mind it. I think they actually feel kind of cool being all dainty. But here's the weirdness. There's no carrying case. I mean, I looked around. There's no way to actually store this thing other than just setting it on my shelf for such an expensive controller. Like, keep in mind, they sold a $200 controller. It came with its own case, so this is worthy of a case, but this isn't? I don't know. That feels like a little bit of a weird trying to cut cost BS thing. Now, you can also connect to this outside your house. One of the grandest pieces of confusion I've seen about this is two issues. People have been asking, can you watch stuff on this? Nope. Even if you put something like Paramount Plus, I'm super obsessed with Star Trek, so I'll click the Paramount Plus app. It doesn't do anything. It can't stream to this. It only plays games and nothing else. If you try and stream anything else, it just won't work. But additionally, you can play this outside of your current house. If you have your PlayStation 5 on, like sitting there connected to the internet, and you go out and about, you can connect to internet. You can even connect via a hotspot on your phone and continue playing games. And I gotta say, I am shocked by how good the connection is. I was playing Metal Slug, which is a game with one hit kill. You get hit, you die. And I was surprisingly good at it for being in the middle of a beautiful park. That's crazy to me that that's able to work. Now, I'm not going to do this all the time, but occasionally, if for some reason I'm going to the gym, sometimes I do like 2 hours at the gym because I've got an off day and all my email is caught up. I do want the ability to connect to my crappy gym Wi-Fi and grind out a couple levels. This is the exact product that I have been craving, a way to play games in a slightly more portable fashion, but it does feel like a bit of a downgrade compared to stuff like the PlayStation Portable and the PlayStation Vita that we got in previous generations that were able to remote play, but also had their own games. This thing is nice, but I do kind of wish that it could install something. PS1 games, something. Just some extra push to make it feel like it's not just a very expensive controller. But these have been my thoughts on the PlayStation Portal. Did you buy one? Are you as dumb as me? Like this video and subscribe if you haven't already, and be sure to keep dreaming. Ah, man. All right, back to grinding some platinum trophies, baby. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.